In this episode, interior trim work continues to near completion, including putting up the wall siding in the sunroom. The painters do their colorizing magic to the exterior of the house while prepping the interior, and the gutters go up. Hi, I'm Dave Atkinson, and welcome to Life on the Straight. This 27th installment in the Epic Remodel series covers the 2-week period of August 23rd through September 5th of 2020. An interesting note, on September 3rd, Perry Construction marked its 1-year anniversary since their start on our project. Let's get to it. On Monday, the crew continued with the installation of the baseboard trim, while Frank capped off the remaining stairway half-wall areas in the garage. They also began working on the stair railings leading down to the basement. I prefer to have railings on both sides of the stairs, as it makes it easier to negotiate them as I hold my right forearm crutch with my left fingers while also using my left crutch. Then I grasp the railing to my right and hop up the stairs one at a time, reversing railings as I go downstairs. Before the remodel, there was just a single handrail on the left side going down, and it was held in place using only 3 brackets, bending profusely when I would put any weight on it. I did not like going down the stairs grasping the left railing. I could do it, but I didn't feel safe, and the railing itself didn't feel all that solid. I know it's a small detail for a lot of people, but for me it was a big deal. By the end of Tuesday, Frank had the new railings installed. He chose to support the left side going down with 5 brackets rather than the 4 he installed on the right side, because it was coming up the stairs that I tended to place much more of my weight on the railing. When going down, my left crutch carried my weight, and the railing was used more for balance. The linen closet door ended up being the only one that used a hinge-mounted door stop. There just wasn't room for the floor-mounted type. And speaking of doors, the bifold closet doors that had arrived from the factory without a backside finish were returned from a local finisher and were finally installed in the guest bedroom. Wednesday was a big day as the painter and his helper began taping off the exterior and applying the first coat of paint to the main Hardie plank-clad siding. After a year of reconstruction, we could finally see what our home would look like. Class Act painting was unlike any subcontractor we had witnessed. The owner runs marathons, and he, along with his helper, literally ran through the job site as they went up and down ladders and moved from place to place. I'm not sure if his helper also ran marathons, but our work site essentially doubled as a training course. Also on Wednesday, Frank began working on the interior sunroom wall siding. We decided that the siding below the windows should be vertical with no baseboard. If you look at the photos, you'll note that the windows are not all a uniform height as they wrap around the room. Horizontal siding would have a harder time transitioning from a short wall to a slightly taller wall. So even though many more cuts would be required, we went with vertical siding. For the uniform back wall, horizontal siding would suffice. On Thursday, the painter painted the Hardie shingles below the 2 gable roofs and the back wall of the front deck. We kind of flipped the script here. Most new homes that we looked at used a lighter color on the body of the house with a darker color on top. We liked it the other way around, and we think that it turned out to be the right call. They also painted the front entrance door sage green, but it was covered in canvas while it dried, so we could just glimpse a corner of it. Friday saw more interior trim work, with Wes concentrating on the baseboards while Frank tackled the sunroom walls. John was outside continuing to remove the wood and forms from below the fir trees. By the end of the day, the painters had nearly completed the exterior of the house. And in case you were wondering, out back, they also painted the below-deck soffit and house wall. We also got our first look at our green entrance door, and we loved it. The following Monday, the painters finished up on the back side of the house. Frank completed the vertical siding in the sunroom and then moved to the horizontal back wall siding along with a cap for the vertical siding. He also installed one of the large grab bars in the master shower. The handrail for the garage stairs was a challenge. The way that the stairs rise and then transition to the left using a series of angled treads made it hard to use traditional railing sections while keeping everything within the tread-to-rail distance code. As yet another example of how Frank's perfectionist mind worked, he used a steam box to soften the rail section and then built a jig to hold it in place while it stiffened into a curved piece. On Tuesday, with the exterior painting complete, the painters moved inside to begin the long masking and protection step before applying paint to the trim. They would be at this task for the remainder of the week. Frank did some more work in the master bathroom. He installed the remaining grab bars in the shower, along with a toilet paper holder, and out in the main part of the bathroom, he installed the towel bars. The HVAC contractor showed up to rough in the lines for the future sunroom ductless heat pump. Frank continued working on the sunroom walls and trim. The custom-made, extra-wide fire door that led out into the garage was finally installed. By the end of Wednesday, Frank almost had the sunroom walls and trim completed. The crew then removed all of the interior doors along with the stair railings and moved them into the basement, as the painters would need the door jambs cleared so they could be painted. On Thursday, installation of the new gutters began. The back of the house required some special attention. 2 of the gutters passed through the deck pavers, where they then turned towards a large collector pipe that terminated above a splash block in one of the gardens. The sunroom used a built-in U-channel gutter that exited on each end. The west end was a more traditional downspout to splash block layout, while the east end required a longer extension to move the water to the downslope section of the garden area. The gutter crew was finished by Friday. Frank also finished up with a wall siding and trim in the sunroom on Thursday, and the crew took Friday off as the painters continued the prep for next week's interior trim painting. During this period, Amy and I made 2 purchases. We bought the coat hooks for the mudroom and the towel rack for the guest bathroom. That wraps up 2 more weeks of progress for our epic remodel project. Tune in next time as the painting is completed, our propane tank arrives, the heat pump compressor gets installed, and a few of the new appliances go in. Thank you for watching Life on the Straight. And if you'd like to follow this story as it unfolds, please consider subscribing, which is free.